You are both talking a lot about young people, the new generation, empowering the staff. You make them feel seen, appreciated, and motivated. And a year ago, you switched a little focus in your stores. You have been using Mystery Shopper and Google Review for some years. And 1 year ago, you started using Maze. And Maze is giving feedback, local feedback from local customers to your frontline staff every day, using, as things you've said, we're using notification, engagements, actionable insights, kudos to motivate and engage them. What made you change from solely Mystery Shopper and no one then other reviews to daily customer feedbacks to your frontline staff, Lucy?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, we switched to Maze just over a year ago now. Customers are at the heart of everything we do in REISS. It should be in retail, but not always the case. But certainly in REISS, we don't make any single decision without thinking about the impact to the customer. So when I started talking to Maze, it was probably the most excited I'd felt about getting genuine customer feedback to any of the other platforms that I'd spoken to. And the simple reason being, it is real customers, it's authentic, and also that the feedback can be seen and can be shared by colleagues across the business, from a part-time sales associate all the way up to myself, my central operations team, the senior retail leadership team. And our team members are motivated by doing a great job. And I think the authenticity, that it's a true customer coming in and highlighting that Adam in Vigo Street has given exceptional service. I want Adam to know that, and I want Adam's peers to know that. And that's what we get through the Maze app. It is instantaneous, very real feedback. It mentions, our team members by name. We're able to then personally reward and recognise and call out this great service. And then also our team members, because they do care so much about service and our customer experience, they also do want to hear when we haven't done something quite as well as we could. And it has really highlighted for us, Maze has really highlighted for us that we do a good job with service. We do a great job with service. And I think we all knew that, but it's really highlighted one specific area of opportunity where we're doing an okay job, but there's a real opportunity to do a much, much better job. So it's enabled us to work on some training materials, some workshops with our teams to really improve that part of the experience for the customer. And because our team members know it's come from the customer, and not from head office, and not from me, and not from mystery shopping. It's genuine customers asking for an advanced service. They're much, much more willing to embrace it. I think it's been the single biggest factor in driving our improvement in conversion, which is obviously our biggest metric in retail. How many customers are you converting when they walk into the store? And you can see a definite relation to the Maze feedback and the consistency of that strength of feedback to those stores that have joined our 1% club, which is where they've driven their conversion by 1% in the last 12 months. So it's been very successful for us.
That's amazing. I'm very happy to hear this. But when we talk about this, I tried to talk, or I'm talking to retailers all over Scandinavia and Europe, and I'm trying to challenge them into focusing a little bit more on the KBI, like the behavior, instead of the results, because the results is a results of the behavior in the store. What Lucy is saying now, she says that daily feedback engage and motivate them and empowers them to do what matters the most. How does this align with what you focus on? Does it sound good?
If you measure, happiness is so clearly linked to whether somebody wants to stay in their roles, wants to be stay in their businesses. We know it's a key driver of retention, and a huge part of someone's happiness is whether they feel recognised by the business, whether they feel engaged, whether they feel heard. So certainly the work that we're doing to promote happiness within the industry and champion the notion that it's a key input of financial results is hugely aligned to the work that Maze are doing around ensuring that the right feedback gets into the hands of the right people and connects colleagues back into the organisation as well. And I think just looks at returning some of the joy that I know, fell in love with, with the sector, 3 decades ago when we both first joined. I'm sure, shopping is the UK's #1 pastime.
It is, huh?
We're called a nation of shopkeepers, and I think that more needs to be done to promote the idea that this is a joyful experience for shopper, for colleague, to return some of the happiness to our high streets up and down the country, and in so doing, though, I think reminds government policymakers, the public at large, of the huge social and economic role that retail plays in this country. It's the largest employer of young people. It's the largest employer of women. You know, our high streets bind our communities together. It's such an important glue to our social fabric, and I think, you know, anything that is highlighting the joy and the happiness of a great experience within store is a really important ingredient in that work.
Do you really think that behavioral data, it could be, of course, feedback from customers or from anyone, do you really think that could change or create a better performance, like results in the store? Will it help?
I think it has to help, because actually, you know, and again, Chris said it earlier, happy employees deliver better results.
They do.
Because they just do. It's
Yes.
self-fulfilling. When you go to work and you feel great and you feel appreciated and you feel supported, you give your best. You feel seen and you get recognised. You know, when you get recognised for that, additionally, you want to come back the next day and do it again and do even more. So hearing that you're doing a great job from your customers, you hear you're doing a great job from your colleagues and your peers, and you hear you're doing a great job in newsletters and in, you know, calls and in visits. Absolutely, that's going to drive improved results, because they want to get it again. It's quite addictive being called out and being praised for the job that you're doing. Clearly, there's financial rewards, you know, through selling and improving our sales as well. So that's a part of it. But yeah, I have absolutely no doubt a happier, more engaged, more informed employee will always deliver better results.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest shifts between 2020 and now has been this move to place happiness, health, well-being, colleague engagement at the heart, strategically at the heart of business, as opposed to doing a lot of things tactically, which is what we saw around COVID, is that people just threw things at the wall and saw what stuck. But at the heart of moving from something tactical to strategic is that you've got to measure it, and you can't move something you don't measure.
No.
So unless we've got access to data around this and start to set some foundational benchmarks, anecdotally, I don't think there's anyone who wouldn't accept that happier colleagues are, A, less likely to be off work or leave businesses, and secondly, are likely to work harder and be more productive and drive better results. So anecdotally, we all know that, but in order to improve that, we've got to find a way of measuring that, and data. So we have to use data, because otherwise we won't see the changes that we want.
And we see a shift when we talk to retailers that they have always been measuring KPIs, basket size, conversion, you mentioned, right? But what we have seen that when you start measure the behavior of the frontline staff, and they actually see the impact they have, they start doing more of what matters the most in the meeting with the customers. I was talking to a fashion retailer in the Nordic last week, who just started, and he saw that when his frontline staff were helping the customers in the fitting room, that increased the basket size with 28%. Can you imagine?
It doesn't
so I think
surprise me.
Right. So when you get this feedback, and frontline staff know that my contribution actually matters when it comes to both happy customers, happy boss, and revenue.
I remember it myself, though. I remember, and that's what got me hooked into retail, because it's so self-fulfilling when you help somebody else, or you make somebody, especially within the fashion industry, because people physically feel better, you know, when they look great, they feel great. So if you've contributed to that, it makes you feel good as well. And I think that's what we need to spread, is that actually, you know, giving them a great working environment to enable them to flourish and do the things that they love the best, which is to help our customers, not only benefits the commercials, which obviously is you know, what the business is there for, but it improves their, you know, sort of self-worth. Hopefully then they get some financial incentives as well. But absolutely, it is that kind of self-fulfilled happiness when you do a great job and you help somebody.
I mean, we've been campaigning, championing the notion that happiness creates thriving economics for almost 200 years.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like my job will be done when on a Monday, the executive are poring over the data around staff retention, absence and happiness in the same way that they're looking at the sales data in the trading meetings. And when we understand that data is just as important to whether you've got a thriving business, then I'll
Then you
step
retire.
back. I can retire.
For the 30 years.
Absolutely, yeah,
After you retire after 200 years.
Yes.
That's good.